one thing I want to ask, I watched this team last couple of years, and they haven't been a real good shooting team. What are the prospects that you see in practice thus far? Do you think y'all are going to be able to score the ball well, and especially from three-point range, because it hasn't been a good three-point shooting team for quite a while?
Well, I'm going to compare it to my team at Baylor. You know how many threes we made and won a national championship 2 years ago? 4. There are a lot of ways to score the ball, and it's not always from the three. If we've got to press, we'll press. If we've got to get more offensive boards, we'll do that. If we've got to play 3 posts and get more post touches, we'll do that. I know that these kids are hungry. I know the community's hungry, the school's hungry, and we're going to fight like heck to try to score points. I'm not going to look at last year's stats other than to give me a gauge of what we need to work on, but I'm going to judge these kids every day in practice. And, the three-point ball actually is a big part of basketball now, but at the end of the day, I think defense and rebounding will always be a part of my teams when I'm coaching.
As far as shooting, I know shooting from the outside, what do you see in practice?
Well,
a lot of them?
we do. I think Cherry's one of the finest players in the SEC. I think you've got an all-conference performer in KP. I think Awa and Sarah, our international kids, they've got enough experience. They'll throw it up. If Alexis Morris gets eligible, she's waiting, trying to get a waiver to get eligible. She'll shoot it from the three. We've got enough people that'll shoot it. I just want them to be confident enough to make them.
Hey, Cam, it's Scott Rabelais. The men's team obviously had an unfortunate injury this week with Adam Miller. How is the health of your team and player availability, and also what kind of concern is it in the preseason, especially now when you're trying to, I'm sure, establish a culture and get them used to a certain style of play, a certain way of practicing?
Well, we had an injury as well. Logan McNeil, a freshman, she tore her ACL and is going to have surgery in the next week or two. And I hate that for her because she's been through ACL surgery before with her other knee. You got to stay healthy, guys. No coach likes to make the excuse about how injuries can, devastate your team, but that's the truth. But then you still have to keep coaching, and you still have to keep trying to win basketball games. So I'm not aware of the men's team having an injury because I'm so focused on my team, and I think we all get focused on our own teams. But we've got kids out there that are healthy, other than Logan tearing her knee up. The rest of them are healthy and hopefully getting in better shape.
And how do you balance the concern about wanting to get to the season as intact as you can when you're, like I said, when you're trying to establish maybe a new culture, a new way of doing things?
Scott, you don't worry about injuries. You have to go out there and play hard. And we've had some of our better practices the last week because I think everybody's getting comfortable. They know the season's approaching. They want that playing time. And when we enter squad, it's pretty physical. And sometimes that's when I may need to scale it back because it gets too physical because they're competing for minutes. And I love it. To me, that's, I showed them the film of the Connecticut game, that last play when Carrington went up for a shot. I said, that's big girl basketball. Whether you thought it was a foul, whether you didn't think it was a foul, whether it was a foul or wasn't a foul, this is how we got to play in practice every day. And I think that they're responding to that. I think they understand, we're not going to tiptoe around anything. Let's get after it and let's play hard.
Hey, Coach, it's William with Tiger Rag Magazine. The last Zoom meeting, you mentioned trying to work toward developing a rotation of, between 8 to 10 girls. Can you at least maybe break it down a little bit about how your rotation looks, backcourt, KP, et cetera, and in front court, Hannah, Foss, et cetera?
Well, I can, but, I really don't want to do that. I think when you do that today and the game starts and the lights come on, I may change my mind. And you also have to keep in mind you've got freshmen out there that their head is spinning right now. and they you want to motivate them as well. Yeah, I do have in my mind who my rotation is, but my rotation is not necessarily the same starters every game. It just depends on who we're playing. It depends on scouting reports. But it usually starts, without question, with your older players, your returning players, the players that have played college basketball and understand everything's bigger, faster, stronger. So to break it down on who's playing with who's starting, I tell them I don't have a starting lineup. I have a rotation of players, and you want to be in that rotation of players.
Can you touch on, not necessarily starters, but just who could be, who was jumped out at you, newcomers, et cetera?
I can, but what difference does that make at this point? At this point, all that matters is you can probably do it too. Just go look at the returning players. Start there. Start with those 3 seniors. Start with the kids that came with me. Start with those players who got a lot of playing time last year. And don't be misled, because when you have a change in staff, sometimes it rejuvenates players. Sometimes you see something in players that you didn't see with the previous staff, not for any other reason, but that sometimes change is good. And I would just say, look at the returning players, look at those who have college experience. Those are the ones that have to lead us.
Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
Hey Kim, Chantel Jennings with The Athletic. Quick question for you. One of the recommendations that came out of the Kaplan report after last tournament was a men and women's combined Final Four. As someone who's been to your fair share of Final Fours, I was just curious what you thought of that idea.
Well, I would need to study it more. I'm not opposed to it. Anything that will help the women's game, I'm for. But I would want to sit down and study it. I would want people to present it to me in such a way that, hey, this is what it's been like when you've had separate Final Fours, and this is what we anticipate it to be like, and just kind of present it in a way that would show me that it's better being together than separate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Taylor Green with the Student News at LSU, and I was wondering, you've broken the all-time attendance record year after year with the Lady Bears, and I know you want to sell out events, selling 5,000 season tickets. How do you plan to do that this season?
Well, first of all, I'd like to think that we are going to be out in the community. I'd like to think our athletic marketing people are going to really make a push. I think we've already sold 4,300 or 4,400 quickly right after the when I was announced and hired. So I hope that when we make a push that we can be out there and telling people, hey, our goal is to sell 5,000 season tickets. Is it doable? Absolutely, it's doable. So then after you do that, the play on the floor hopefully will sell some tickets. I hope people will come and come back and then tell a friend about it. I can remember 22 years ago, whoever yelled the loudest in the stands got free tickets for the next game and free pizza when I was at Baylor. We're beyond that. And I just want people to appreciate what LSU has committed to doing with women's basketball here. I know that our staff appreciates it. I know the players, the former players. We had 300 at our first practice. And so hopefully we'll get close to that. And then after we start playing, maybe we can surpass that if people come and like what they see on the floor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Kim, it's Dylan Sanders. I'll be covering the team for the Reveille there on campus this semester. The whole school and athletics as a whole is going through a lot of shakeup right now. What is something that fans and other students can look to this team for in terms of consistency this season?
Well, I hope that when they come, they go, wow, those kids play hard. I hope that when they come, they say, you know, what we lack in certain skill areas, we make up for in other areas. And I hope that there's an appreciation there that this is how you start building the program back to where you want it to be. Listen, this program has history, guys. I just want to go back to that history. You know, this program has been in 6 Final Fours if you go back to the AIAW days. This program has had, Naismith Hall of Fame coaches before me. This is not new to LSU and the community. They remember. This may be new to some people who don't remember those days. I remember those days. I competed against those LSU teams. So I'm excited that the fan base is excited, that LSU's excited, and all you can promise right now is that you're going to see a team that leaves it all on the floor. When we're outmatched because of talent, I don't think you'll ever leave the floor and go, they quit playing or they didn't play hard. I want them to leave and say, wow, they play hard and I see improvement in individual players.
Hey, Coach, just William again. I want to ask you a little bit about Hannah Gusters and what made your expectations for her in year 2. She played in every game basically for you last year and played behind Queen and practiced against her. And she seems to be ready to roll in and assume a different role as kind of that anchor for you in the post.
Well, Hannah's not coming to LSU to be the savior. That's for sure. Don't throw that on her shoulders. Hannah was a McDonald's All-American in high school, and because she's so unselfish, she chose and knew what Baylor had in front of her when she signed at Baylor. She knew nothing about LSU, didn't know anything about the school. She just believed in me, and she wanted to come with me. And she understands being on that floor. It's not the Hannah show. I mean, Faustine, all those seniors, those guys have been in the SEC. It's battles every day. So Hannah is still young. She fortunately got her year back with COVID, so she's basically a freshman. I'm going to be as excited to watch her growth because when you're a freshman, it's the most difficult year of your life. In athletics, you're homesick, you can't do anything right. You got players in front of you. No matter how good you do, you know, they're still probably going to be in front of you. It will be different in that while she has the returning players at LSU, it's not like she's practicing every day thinking, doesn't matter how hard I go, I'm still going to get the same number of minutes. I want her mindset to be, hey, we're fighting like heck out here, and whatever we do, we gotta leave it on the floor. And it's going to be interesting to watch her development because now she's got to get in better shape. She's got to be thrown to the wolves quicker. She's got to, be a leader out there every day.
Coach, I like the big girl basketball comments. How do you get them to that place without beating them down? And then I want to talk to you about your fast break.
Oh, you don't let them get hurt. You don't beat them down. I don't know if it's because I played the game or what, but I know when to pull it back. I know when to let it go extremely hard. It's a long season, guys. When you think about our season, we start, basically October, and those that make it through April, that's a long time to play basketball. You got to know how long a practice needs to be. You just gotta monitor it, and you gotta try your best to get them in as good a shape as you can, keep them as healthy as you can. Now, we can't control injuries. We know that. But it is big girl basketball, and I love it. And when I say big girl basketball, I don't just mean because you're a post player. I just mean you got to get after it. And it starts with the 3 seniors. Those guys have been in big girl basketball games. Now I want them to win some of those games they didn't win.
And on you got a fast break event on Tuesday, if I'm correct. Your fast break event on Tuesday, is that right?
Yes, okay.
We won't talk to you again before that, so just get some publicity for that. What does that group do for a program? What would you like it to do?
Well, our fast break club is like with any sport at LSU or across the country. It's basically your booster club. There are different levels you can join, and that's just extra money that when something comes up that's not in our budget, that it will help us. It's also a time for the community to feel like they're a part of it. We have monthly luncheons. I go in for an hour mingle and talk and laugh and answer questions. I will bring the team once a year for them to meet them and touch them, and it's just getting them involved. It's getting people to be excited about women's basketball at LSU, and I think our first one, like you said, is Tuesday in the PMAC. And we had large ones, large booster club at Baylor. It was the tip-off club. We had really large numbers, and our luncheons, guys, would be anywhere from 400 to 500 people a month.
Coach, that's time for one more question, guys, before we move on to players.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about the little goals that you set during the season. You know, trying to get a winning record and beat a ranked team, and get a certain point in conference. Do you set up a lot of do you like a lot of visual goals, and graphics, and videos, and things? How do you reach the players to try to get them to achieve those goals? And has that changed a lot for you over the course of your head coaching career?
Well, I'm not going to be one that coaches from a computer. As long as I can see that scoreboard and have a locker room and a film room, and I know how to work that projector, and I'm in there, I believe you tell them. I believe when you give them their first notebooks and you talk about team goals, and then when you meet with them and you tell them what individual goals are, when you coach them every day, when you're in that locker room with them, and then you got to motivate them. Guys, a lot of this stuff is motivation. You got to motivate young people. And I will use some of the craziest, funniest tactics. I think the girls will tell you that, but it's stuff I hope that they can relate to. And, it's pretty simple. Basketball game, give me a shooter, give me a passer, give me a big post player, and let's go play. Sometimes coaches don't have that luxury of having those kind of players. They have to take 5 guards and figure out how to compete. I've been blessed to have bigs. I've been blessed to have good guard play, and I love man-to-man defense. If we start this thing out and I see that we're just not capable of competing and winning some games in man, I've been known to throw a zone or two out there for a few possessions.
Thank you, Coach.
Hey, guys, thank y'all.